You call her. She doesn't answer. You text again. Still nothing. Then you pour your heart into a long paragraph, hoping she'll finally see your worth. But here's the hard truth. The more you chase, the more you beg, the more you explain, the more power you give away. That's not strength. That's surrender. We live in a world where everyone is trying to prove something, prove they're right, prove they're worthy, explain themselves to anyone who doubts them. But a Stoic man? He doesn't beg for attention. He doesn't chase validation. He doesn't explain himself to people who have already decided not to understand. Because silence is strength. The great Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, understood this. The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. When you stop reacting, you take back your power. When you walk away without a word, not from pride, but from dignity, you become untouchable. Today, I'll show you why silence isn't emptiness. It's discipline, self-respect, and your greatest weapon. Number 1. Silence makes them feel your absence, not just hear your words. Ever notice something strange? The moment you stop explaining yourself, the moment you stop chasing, people suddenly start paying attention. That's the paradox of silence. It doesn't push people away. It pulls them in. Think back to the last time you were hurt, ghosted, disrespected, or given the cold shoulder. Your instinct probably screamed, "Say something, defend yourself." But here's the truth. The more you talk, the less they listen. The more you chase, the further they run. The more you explain, the less they value your words. When you go silent, they start noticing your absence more than they ever noticed your presence. Elbert Hubbard said it best. He who does not understand your silence will probably not understand your words. The Stoics knew this centuries ago. Silence makes people uncomfortable in ways noise never can. When you stop reacting to someone who expected you to beg, you force them to confront something deeper, their own actions. This isn't ego, it's clarity. If they cared, they would ask. If they respected you, they would reach out. If they were emotionally mature, they wouldn't need a paragraph to see your worth. So you stay silent, and in that silence, you reclaim the power you once gave away. You stop wasting energy on people who don't even understand themselves. You stop trying to heal through endless explanations, because some wounds only heal in silence. And yes, it will trigger them, confuse them, make them wonder, why aren't they reacting? Did they stop caring? That's when the power shifts, because your silence speaks the one truth they can't ignore. You owe them nothing. Number 2. When you stay silent, you hear the truth louder. The world is loud, but in silence, you hear something far more important. Not others, but yourself. In moments of heartbreak, betrayal, or confusion, most people run to others for advice, validation, or a quick emotional fix. They call friends, scroll endlessly on social media, or confront the one who hurt them, hoping the right words will heal the wrong person. The Stoic takes a different path. He steps into silence, not because he's numb, but because he knows truth doesn't rise in noise. It surfaces in stillness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." When the mind grows quiet, clarity begins to speak. They never respected me. I just didn't want to see it. I'm not angry they left. I'm angry I stayed too long. I don't need closure. I need peace. Silence separates emotion from value. When hurt, emotion screams, "Chase them. Explain, prove your worth." But value whispers, "Hold your dignity. Protect your peace. Let them go." The Stoics mastered this pause, a sacred stillness before action. Modern culture tells you to speak your mind, and never stay silent. But here's the truth. You don't earn respect by shouting louder. You earn it by staying grounded while others spiral in noise. The more silent you are, the more people reveal themselves. You stop asking, do they care? Their actions answer. Silence isn't weakness. It's focus. It's the doorway to inner wisdom most never enter. So when you're unsure, don't react. Be still. The answer is already within. Number 3. Begging for closure is self-betrayal. Let's face it, begging for closure rarely brings peace. More often, it just deepens the wound. We crave that final explanation, that one honest conversation, the neat ending that makes the pain make sense. But here's the truth. If someone truly valued you, you wouldn't have to beg for closure. They would offer it willingly. And if they don't, your silence is the closure. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it." When you stop chasing closure and start living your values, you stop needing others to validate your pain. The hurt is real, but demanding they explain why they hurt you hands them power over your healing. Here's the cycle. 1. They hurt you. 2. You demand answers. 3. They respond with coldness or avoidance. 4. You feel worse. And it repeats until you realize closure is something you give yourself. It's tempting to think, if I just tell them how I feel, they'll understand. But the truth? You're explaining yourself to someone who's already made peace with hurting you. You're asking someone to fix expectations they never intended to meet. That's not closure. That's self-abandonment. Real closure is this. You accept that what they gave was all they could give. No conversation will make them more respectful, loving, or honest. You stop waiting for a goodbye that will never come, and in that silence, your power returns. The people who hurt you don't need to understand your worth. You do. The ones who left don't need a second chance. Your silence is their answer. Stop writing unsent messages. Stop chasing the ending. Go silent, and let that silence be the breath where your self-respect lives again. Number 4. Silence exposes what words try to hide. When you go silent, something powerful happens. Masks fall off. Words can be beautiful, but they can also be weapons. People say what sounds right. They tell you what they think you want to hear. They wrap their intentions in explanations, justifications, and apologies. But silence can't lie. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "What you do speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you say." Stoics understood this deeply. They didn't judge people by their apologies. They judged them by their patterns. And the best way to see someone's pattern: stop talking and watch. Silence is not passive, it's observant. When you stop explaining yourself, you give people the space to reveal who they really are. And they will. The one who truly respects you will feel your absence and reach out with honesty. The one who only used you will disappear because they never valued you in the first place. The manipulator will grow frustrated, not because you did something wrong, but because they lost control. Here's the truth. Words can create illusions, but silence reveals reality. You don't have to confront or test them. Just withdraw your words and see who checks in when you're quiet, who disappears when you stop giving, who gets angry when they can't provoke a reaction. People can dismiss your words, but they can't dismiss your absence. They can argue with opinions, but they can't argue with stillness. In silence, you stop feeding their illusions. You stop pretending their promises outweigh their patterns. You choose what's real over what's spoken. That's not cold. It's clear. Not distant. It's discerning. Not emotionless. It's disciplined. The next time someone tries to talk their way back into your life, don't respond. Observe. Let the truth speak without words. Number 5. Not explaining yourself is the highest form of confidence. When someone misunderstands you, it stings. Instinct tells you to defend yourself and to say, "That's not me." But the Stoic doesn't chase understanding from others. He seeks it within himself. Why? Because explaining yourself to people who've already made up their minds isn't confidence. It's fear. Fear of being misjudged. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbors unless with a view to some mutual benefit. Every time you try to prove your worth, your goodness, or your loyalty, you're spending your limited energy on someone else's opinion. That's not power, that's insecurity. The person who doesn't explain himself is not arrogant. He's free. Free because his intentions are clean, his actions aligned, and his value doesn't need translation for those unwilling to understand. This detachment isn't easy. You'll be called cold, selfish. You might lose people who once seemed close. But losing those who never truly saw you is not loss. It's alignment. Most people don't want to understand you. They want to control how you're perceived, and when your silence shatters their illusion, they get angry. Not because you hurt them, but because you stopped playing their game. When you stop explaining, you stop justifying your distance. You stop defending your peace. You act calm, rooted, unshakable. Those who belong in your life won't need subtitles for your silence. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing peace. You don't need to convince anyone that your boundaries are valid. Some rooms don't deserve your voice, because your silence already said it all. Number 6. Your detachment in silence is the lesson. There's something rare about a person who walks away, not in anger, not in drama, but in quiet detachment. No slammed doors, no final emotional messages. Just stillness. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And nothing haunts the mind like unanswered silence. When you stop responding, they're left alone with their guilt, their thoughts, and the echo of your absence. Your silence says, "I no longer need to prove myself. I will not stay where I'm not respected. My peace is worth more than this connection." Most people don't know how to handle that. They expect you to beg, to argue, to fight for closure. When you don't, the game ends. And the quiet terrifies them, not because you hurt them, but because they've lost access to your energy. People don't truly learn from words. They learn from distance. If your absence makes them realize what they lost, that's their lesson. If it doesn't, the lesson was for you. That peace needs no permission, that not everyone deserves your explanation, that silence can heal what words cannot. Detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. It's removing yourself from chaos without seeking revenge. It's refusing to bleed in front of those who can't understand pain. The Stoics knew this. You don't have to yell, "I'm done." You can simply be done. That's real power. And when your dignity stays intact, you reclaim something priceless. Yourself. Let your silence be your final word. Not from ego, not from spite, but from unshakable self-respect. Your silence is your final word. Own it. Protect your peace. Lead with strength. If this message hit your soul, like, share, and subscribe for more Stoic truths every week. And drop this in the comments. My silence is my power.